everyone, and welcome back. We are here today with artist Lisa Bourque. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Awesome. So we're going to start with you telling us just a bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm 23 years old. I was born in Fort McMurray. Just graduated with my BFA in Fine Arts and Design about a year ago, like in April a year ago. I have a studio in Edmonton. Yeah, and I'm just focusing on painting, some video works, but mostly just painting right now. Yeah.
Cool. What got you into art?
I feel like it's hard to ask an artist specifically like when they got into art, because I feel like, at least with myself, there was not one moment where I was just like, oh, I want to do art, you know? When I was in school as a kid, I would always draw in the margins of my pages instead of focusing on class. So that's kind of how I practiced, just drawing the same stuff over and over again in class, taking all the art classes that I could take, and then deciding to go to university for art. I didn't take any maths or science classes, so I couldn't really get into anything else. So yeah, that's when I decided I wanted to at least pursue it in education. But yeah, it's always just been something that I focused most of my time on instead of doing things like studying.
You mentioned drawing, and then you also mentioned video work. What mediums of art do you enjoy?
For painting, I mostly do oil paint. I used to do a mix of acrylic and oil, but I find that I enjoy oil more just because you have more time with every layer that you do. Acrylic is good, I feel, for underpaintings because you can just get stuff on there quickly. If you don't like what you did, just paint right over it. I like the way that oil looks. I like how much you can make it adapt to what you want with different mediums and just different stuff that you can mix with it. Yeah, I mostly do that. And then with video works, I was working with a lot of projection a while ago. My projector got stolen, so that's why I'm not doing it anymore. But yeah, I don't really draw on paper that often. I do have a few sketches that I do, but those are mostly just to get the ideas of what I want to do for paintings out. I find that I'm too impatient to draw. I used to do it a lot when I was younger, but now I just feel like with paint, you can work on it and immediately the idea, at least for me, that I want is already visible in my brain. With drawing, it's too time consuming for me to get to the place where I want my work to be. And that's just why I feel like oil painting is what I'm most drawn to, at least.
Do you remember the first oil painting that you ever did?
Yeah, actually, I think I was 12, my mom made me take oil painting classes like privately with this lady, but I would mostly paint stuff for middle-aged women, so lots of wine glasses and home decor type pieces. And that's kind of where I learned like how oil paint works and how to mix it. I remember she had a little jar of turpentine, and I didn't know like what it was. I would just clean my brushes all the time with it. I didn't know how toxic it was, and I was like sitting right beside it as a 12-year-old, like getting paint all over my hands and not being able to wash it off for like 3 days. And just no one really told me the dangers of what oil painting was. I thought this was like the only type of paint there was because I'd only done acrylic when I was like 5, and I didn't really know any better. I don't know what my first oil painting was, but it was probably like some wine glasses or something. Yeah.
I'm assuming your style has probably changed since wine glasses.
Yeah. I mean, if it's like my mom's birthday or sometimes I'll like still paint
Bring back the wine glasses.
Yeah, do something like that. But it's not what I would choose to do in my own time. I know she will try to sell some of my old stuff to like her friends on Facebook and all that. All my old like wine glass paintings, but that's not really my focus anymore. And even then, if someone would ask me to paint something like that for them, I would probably say no.
Oh, really? How come?
I just feel like, at least for commission work, it's not really something that I enjoy. I don't really want to put my time into something that I'm not learning from and that I can't really show people other than who I'm making it for. And I mean, maybe if I like really wanted some money, I just feel like I'm not in the realm of doing commissions. I'm mostly making work for my own body of work right now.
For sure. What is more aligned with your body of work now? Can you speak about the kind of art you're making now?
Yeah, right now I'm mostly doing self-portraits or kind of, I wouldn't call them specifically still lifes. I'm mostly doing object studies. Lots of color work. I've focused mostly on color in my work right now. The big stuff that I make, if I'm making something on a large scale, those are usually self-portraits because I feel like it's easy for me to fill a canvas with a large figurative piece of myself. But for smaller things, I like painting objects because I like the detail that I can focus in on it, and yeah, that's mostly what I do.
In your self-portraits, what is that experience like, painting yourself?
I feel like it's kind of healing, seeing yourself from an outsider's perspective. You see, at least for me, since I paint myself almost nude, it's kind of, I'm scrutinizing myself and seeing every little detail, and then either pushing or pulling things, trying to put in different colors to affect like heat and mood in it. Yeah, I feel like I try not to pay too much attention, like scrutinize myself and try to make it look perfect. I kind of try to make it not hyper real, but just as real as I can, and then see what I can do to push it to not abstraction, but not exactly real.
And where does that pushing and pulling kind of come from? Is it just something that sort of speaks to you and you're like, oh, that would be cool, or are you inspired by things?
Not really inspired by anything specific, but just trying to make something a bit more, I don't know, interesting to look at rather than it being specifically what you see in real life. That's also why I try to do a lot of pushing of colors and using different colors. Right now I'm kind of obsessed with green. So if you haven't noticed, all my work is green in like the past year. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just trying to get excitement while I'm painting and not trying not to be bored while I'm doing it. So,
which I can imagine maybe that happens now that it's less of a hobby and more of a career for you. What is that experience like of going from just doing something for fun to now making money off some of the stuff that you do?
Well, not making money yet. But yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a bit hard to stay focused and being sure to come here a lot, especially when you're not surrounded by peers like you are in school. I'm lucky to have some studio mates that are here a lot of the time, and that really pushes me to be in the studio and try to work a lot and be inspired by everyone around me. So it's hard work making yourself apply for things and getting those rejections and sometimes getting like the yeses and stuff like that. But it's definitely different, but it is fun. It's something that I do want to continue, and yeah, I'm trying not to make it, like I do have a food job, something that I do. I'm not solely living off my art, and yeah,
one day.
But yeah, one day. So yeah, I try to come here as often as I can in my free time.
Working with the difference between being in the studio with others versus being in the studio with yourself, what's the difference? Like, is it the energy of the studio, or like having someone to bounce ideas off of? What's your kind of favorite part of working with other people?
Definitely bouncing ideas off people and just, asking them to come in, give a little critique of your stuff, say what they like, what they don't like, and also, being inspired by their work and seeing what they're working on, and seeing how much progress they're making, how often they're coming in, and, subconsciously you end up seeing their work and putting what they're putting into their work into your work sometimes, like, oh, I love the colors that you have in your work. You end up using those colors or something similar to it. And I feel like that's great about the community here, is how often we're all like bouncing off of each other. And it's great just to have someone working beside you, and it's really motivating.
Which, as you spoke about before, you got a lot in school. What was that experience like, studying art in school? Which might sound like a really weird question, but I am the world's worst artist. Like, I have mad respect for artwork. Like, I cannot draw to save my life. My stick men are lopsided. Like, I'm just curious what that's like for you.
I don't know, I had a really good time in school and taking art classes and painting classes and stuff, but mostly because the curriculum wasn't so strict, especially in the later years. I found myself really thriving in my last couple years of school because I took a spring class where basically you could do whatever you wanted in that class. There wasn't specific guidelines on each project, and I found it was really freeing being forced to think of your own ideas for that class. And I find that especially in first years with students, they get caught up on themes that they're given for their projects and can't really think for themselves for those first few years, and being forced to do work that is entirely your own is something that's really motivating, and it really proves like if you can do this and if you want to do this, if you're capable of thinking of those things for yourself. And in those past few years, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed being at school all day, surrounded by people, getting critiques, and yeah, it was really fun for me.
It's crazy the difference of school that you're forced to go to, like elementary, junior high, high school, versus university when you're more free to choose what you want to pursue, and just the difference in, I feel like, your feelings about school. I don't know if you felt that way, but just having the opportunity to study what you actually want as opposed to like what people are telling you to do.
Yeah, in high school, I don't know, I took all the lower level classes that you can take, like general sciences instead of a specific science, and not because I didn't really care, but because I knew I wanted to do something else and didn't see the point in putting so much effort into classes that wouldn't benefit me.
That's a great point.
But yeah, not like I was doing nothing in high school or whatever, but my art at that time was not something that was super beneficial to me. I was kind of copying social media back then, so yeah. I mean, like everyone was when they're 17, but yeah.
Yeah, when everyone's, no, I don't want to say starting out, because you were starting out at like 5 years old, which is crazy, but you try different things, you explore, you find what works for you, what doesn't. Speaking though of social media, how do you think it's beneficial for artists, and how do you think it's maybe not helpful or negative?
Yeah, I think maybe a couple years ago I realized how much I was relying on social media, not for posting, but for seeing other people's work, and I was kind of messing with my head, especially with my own artwork, and I found that it benefited me a lot to, instead of looking at things like Instagram, I would be going on gallery websites instead and looking at specific artists and doing my research in that way, and I found it kind of addicting to maybe, go on a gallery's website, see their list of artists, go on an artist's website, look through their work, look through their CV, click on a link in their CV, go to another gallery page or residency page, see those artists, and look at it through that way instead of seeing what the algorithm shows you. And it was really fun doing that, and saving things and finding opportunities through that, and seeing full-scale images of their artwork and reading their artist statements instead of just seeing a little blip of a statement and a caption or something. It was really good to see work in that way. Now I do think like it's beneficial to have your art posted on social media, but sometimes, numbers aren't exactly proving of what is more deserving than others, and I feel like that can kind of mess with your head if you are posting things and it's not getting the love that you think it deserves, just because I don't know. I don't want to seem like conspiracy theorist, but the algorithm is like working against you sometimes, and you just gotta, you know, take it into your own hands and look for yourself what you want to see. Search up artists that you want to see, and yeah, not like not doing anything, but just yeah, I feel like a lot of artists in the beginning of their careers are in school, focus too much on social media for inspiration. So I feel like seeing, I don't know, just using Google instead, or even libraries, or going to artwork in real life is pretty beneficial for inspiration rather than social media.
Seeing art online versus seeing it in person, do you think there's a difference with being in the room with the art?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. One super cheesy one that I use that I know that a lot of people use, and is, I don't know, it's like the most basic version of art versus real life that I could say, is seeing a Rothko in real life versus the internet. Do you know the artist Rothko?
I don't believe so.
His paintings are very abstract, just kind of rectangles of color. You know, it would be like red and then blue or orange, just giant canvases that are rectangles of color. And I hate people online who are like, oh, I hate modern art, I hate contemporary art, like it has no meaning, and it's just seeing pictures of it online, you're like, oh, this is so stupid, it's just a rectangle, like my kid could do that. But when I saw, it's like, I don't know, I saw his painting in real life and I was like really blown away by it, which is crazy when it's just color, but seeing the way the colors vibrate against each other in real life and standing actually in front of the work is crazy, and you can't see the material through a screen. So I feel like going out to art galleries and actually seeing that work in real life is so different, because like paintings they're not always 2D objects. I mean, you can look around them, look at the back, look at how the strokes are on, and all the different sculptural elements of the brush strokes, and yeah, sometimes it'll surprise you what affects you in real life compared to through a screen.
That's so cool. I recently went on a trip and we visited quite a few museums, and I always like love standing and looking at art, but I never thought to go so close as to really see the fine detail, which
sometimes I'll look around the back and try to see how they hung it. But yeah, I don't know. It's really fun, and I remember going to a museum with this group. I went to the Frick, and they're so strict about how close you can get and even how loud you can talk in there. I was with some people, and I think we were probably talking too loud, but they yelled at us maybe like 5 times, like, get back and like stop talking so loud. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I don't know.
It's a fun experience.
Fun. Yeah. Yeah, and even I saw this video work at the Esker Foundation in Calgary. One of my professors told me to go see it. It's called The Visitors. If you ever have the chance to go see it, I think it's usually in San Francisco, I think, is where it's permanently showing, if I'm not mistaken. But it's like, I think it's 10 or 8 videos of different people playing instruments in the same house, but they're in different rooms. And like slowly, like one of them will start playing, and then on a video at another side of the room, another person will start playing, and you know, they'll all slowly start playing this song. I think it's about 45 minutes long. That's one piece I saw it with, I think I saw it with my dad. I cried. I was sobbing the whole time when I saw that in real life, and I was telling all my friends, like, you have to go see this. It's crazy. And it's one of those works that at least I feel, and well, not maybe I feel, but a lot of people that I saw leaving reviews felt that it was emotional to be emotional. And I was definitely one of those people that, you know, fell for that and did become emotional when I was seeing it. But I thought it was really beautiful. And so if I had just seen that, you know, on a screen on my computer and, you know, flipped through those videos, I probably wouldn't have felt the same reaction that I did when I was actually in that room in real life. So I think it's really beneficial to actually, go to art galleries and see work for yourself in real life, because you might be surprised how you react.
With all the galleries you visited and all the art you have seen, do you have a, I don't know if I want to say favorite, but like would the visitors be that for you of, I saw this and it was life-changing, not like life-changing, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, at least for video works, I think that would definitely be one of my favorite works that I had ever seen. And if I do, like, if it ever does come back to somewhere in Alberta, I would definitely be making the trip to go see it again. And I recommend anyone who has the chance to see it to go see it. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite artist, or maybe artists that you look up to, or anything like that?
Right now, I've been really into airbrush work. Even though I don't own an airbrush, I've been seeing people. I think it's having a resurgence, definitely. Airbrush is having a resurgence, and I've been looking at a lot of people doing airbrush. Maybe there's this artist named Kyler Garrison. He does some really good airbrush work, and another one is Austin Lee Gauhang. He's popular right now too. Those are some that I've been looking at just for, how they blend their colors and their imagery and stuff like that. I think Kyler Garrison, he kind of paints things that you wouldn't normally think to paint. They look very ethereal when he does it, like lots of light leaks and stuff like that. And then for more figurative works, someone that I've been looking at for maybe like the past, 3 years, Sasha Gordon. She's a really popular one. Really great figurative stuff. Emma Stern, also lots of great figurative stuff, great colors. Dominique Fung, I think she's doing a lot of green stuff too, which I really like. Also Colleen Barry, I think she does some green stuff. I don't know, I like looking at paintings that are green. I love the color green. So that's what I'm looking at right now. Yeah, lots of, only basically contemporary artists. I mean, I'll go to museums and look at older works, but right now where I get all my inspiration from is people who are working right now. So,
what is it about green that you love so much?
I don't know. I go through phases of colors, definitely. I used to just be painting every color I could think of and every color combination I could think of, but right now I kind of found a place where I got comfortable and I know how to mix those colors, and right now it's not really getting old for me. Sometimes I'll paint something for a while and I'll just be like, oh, it's getting old, I don't want to do it anymore. But with green, at least, or green and blue, kind of, it's just, I don't know, it's fun for me. There's lots of variations that you can use, like with hot and cold. I've been using a lot of Viridian to get my colors. I'm running out of that color. It's just a type of green.
Okay.
My friend gifted me some tubes of oil paint, and I found Viridian in there, and I'm using it so much it's almost used up. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I like green so much. I feel like I just always have.
You were talking before airbrush, and is that a medium that you would want to explore, or what mediums, or maybe colors or things would you want to explore in your art?
Yeah, I think I would definitely like to explore some airbrush. I feel like I wouldn't be clean enough with it, because you have to clean it basically every time you use it and switch colors, and I feel like I would not do that. I'm pretty messy when it comes to painting. Like, this palette that I have is so old, I haven't cleaned it in so long. So I mean, I would try just to see how it goes. I feel like since I'm so impatient, I don't know if I would stick with it. But definitely the effects that you can get from airbrush is something that is really difficult to get with just brushes. Maybe also something like pastels, you can get really fuzzy with it.
Sorry, those are like they almost look like chalk, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I would use that in paint at the same time, because I know sometimes things can mess with like the way oil paint sits on a canvas. I don't want to mess too much with layering with stuff like that, or else it might like crack. I don't know.
Oh,
but
I didn't even think of that, but that would make sense.
Yeah,
especially like oil and water, like.
Yeah, I used to like, I do most of my or not anymore, I would do my underpaintings in acrylic and try to get a really smooth neon color in the background. And then once you do oil on top of that, if you mess up, you can't go back and paint acrylic over it again, or else it'll start cracking. So it's I would use a projector and try to get my lines exact, because if it goes wrong, like, you gotta figure out a way to make it on purpose.
It's artistic choice.
Yeah.
It's always artistic choice.
Mm-hmm.
Has there ever been a painting where maybe it's cracked or it hasn't turned out like you've wanted, and it's just been, I don't want to say disheartening, but you've had to maybe overcome something in the way the art turned out that you didn't expect?
I've had a few paintings where I don't like the end result and I just kind of leave it, and I know I don't want to work back into it, so at some point I'll just take it off the stretcher and do something new. I think there's a point in a painting where if it's not turning out the way I want, it probably never will, and since that painting like has that history of all the layers and having to work into those layers, sometimes it's just not worth it to try to fix it. Yeah, I'll just start something new probably.
Have you ever had a painting not turn out the way and then like leave it for a million years and then come back to it and be like, wow, this was really good?
Honestly, that might end up being what's happening with this one. I've been working on this painting for maybe 4 months. I don't even know. I haven't touched it in like a month, but I'm having some trouble with it right now, so I've been leaving it and making a lot of smaller paintings instead, just so I can keep working on something. Mm-hmm. But eventually I'll probably spend a whole day working on it and fixing some things, and hopefully I'll end up liking it. If not, it's coming off and I'm putting something else on there.
What do you not like about it? If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer that. But.
No, it's okay. I don't know. It's hard working on big works because you can't get everything you want to get done in a short time frame. So working on it piece by piece, at least for me, having some places which I enjoy in it and some places that are not as far along as I want to, and seeing those together, the contrast of it is a bit hard to see for yourself, and there's parts that I want to get done that I just can't get done in a timely manner, and I end up a lot of the time overworking things. So I think that's kind of what's happening with this, is I'm overworking it a bit, but I mean, we'll see. I might just have to lean into that and make the entire thing super detailed.
It's the downside of being like an artist. You spend so much time on it, mm-hmm. and then it's just like, oh, I have to do that?
Yeah.
Do you ever experience like writer's block or like painter's block of you don't know where to take something, or even when you're overworking something, like is it just kind of like push it to the side and then try something new, or do you have tactics in order to kind of get yourself back on track?
I think what you said, trying something new, that's definitely, or maybe not trying something new, but working on something else for a while. That's what I've been doing. Making something that I can finish really quickly and see the end result really quickly is what helps me, because working on something big and kind of being in that void of it not being finished for so long for me is kind of what's causing, or what does cause for me an artist block. And being able to get something done and seeing that result and, being happy with something, it kind of helps you get the motivation to work on something bigger, for me at least.
What would you say is the most rewarding part of being an artist?
I don't know. I think I enjoy everything about being an artist, but finishing something that you like and being able to show it off and talk about it and write about it. Well, maybe not write about it. For me, I'm really bad at writing, but like just kind of not sending a message, but expressing yourself through imagery is what I'm enjoying most about it, and being a part of a great community of artists and having so many friends who are artists is something that I really cherish and enjoy about it. Yeah.
What would you say is the most challenging aspect of being an artist?
I feel like right now, especially in this community, it can be difficult finding opportunities as an artist, especially as an emerging artist, because I feel like where we are, I feel like the city has so many great emerging artists, and it creates so many amazing emerging artists, but at the same time, it's really hard to foster those artists and create enough opportunities for everyone. So it can be a bit demotivating to, keep working as an emerging artist and not lose your motivation. But being part of a community that really, helps one another and encourages one another is what can help, push you through to keep working, definitely. But yeah. And then writing. I'm the worst at writing, I think.
Only
like
say
back in
positive things
school.
about yourself.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so good at writing.
There you go.
Yeah. I have to. I don't know if I can say this. I have to when I'm writing, I have to get like drunk so I can write all at once, and then not read it the next day. But that's what I do, and that's probably why my writing is so bad. But I'm a stream of consciousness writer, so whatever comes into my head, I'll put it down just to get that word count.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, grammar is not for me. I was once told, one of my professors read, I think it was an artist statement that I wrote, and he said it was confusing in a romantic way. So I don't know what that means.
That seems like a compliment to me. Romance is good. Yeah. Confusion happens to us all. So
yeah, lots of run-on sentences.
I enjoy writing screenplays and plays and things like that, and so many of my characters just keep talking because that's my stream of consciousness. And I was going to say, if you don't like grammar, I think you're just writing the wrong things, because poetry, free verse poetry, has no grammar. So instead of submitting things that need periods, you can just be like, it's actually free verse. Yeah. So it was an artistic choice.
Yeah, my bio is actually free verse.
There you go. See? I mean, they'll be like, wow, she's so artistic. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. Aside from this painting here, because I know you said you were kind of working on it, are you working on anything else at the moment?
I have a blank canvas that I have to start. That's something. But yeah, it's mostly this one that I have actually in progress at the moment. I have ideas for a smaller one that I want to do, but I haven't actually started it yet. I want to start doing video work again, but I do need to get a projector sometime. So Facebook Marketplace is where I gotta go.
Just start a GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
Donate so she can get a projector, please. Or buy some of her work. Great idea, Sahar. Speaking of which, do you remember maybe the first commission work you ever did?
Oh yeah, it was this really ugly drawing that I made when I was, how old was I? I think I was 15 or 16. I don't even think I have a picture of it. I was commissioned by someone to draw a hockey player, and it was so bad. But I think I still got paid for it, so,
obviously it wasn't that bad.
I think they just wanted to support a little high schooler who was drawing that. But then after I did that, I was like, no more. I don't want to ever do that again. So, I'll help some friends out sometimes if they want something. I have a friend who I did some 3D modeling for him for a public bench that he was making, and that was really fun for me because it was something different, not just, a drawing of a celebrity or something, which I probably wouldn't draw for someone. But if it was helping them out with something like that, I would definitely do it. And it was really rewarding to do that too, because it actually got put up and is now a public bench.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, he came up with the whole idea for it. He just sent me drawings, and then I made it in Blender. So,
is that online?
It's a 3D program.
Oh, okay. So it is on, like, it's virtual, right?
Yeah.
And then you send it back to him, and then, okay.
I would send him pictures of it. So he just needed a bunch of JPEGs, I think, to show, like, a board and get them to approve it, I think, is what it was. So, yeah, kind of rendering it. And I would render it in, like, a real environment with, like, grass and sky. I'd be like, this is what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
So.
That's so sick. My sister's a 3D animator, and I'm like, the work of, like, the 3D world, like modeling and animation, I'm like, it's crazy. It doesn't make sense in my brain.
Yeah,
like,
you gotta follow an online tutorial to do it. Don't do the donut though. The donut Blender tutorial is not where it's at. So.
No offense, guys, but
sorry.
We'll just cut that part out.
Whoever made the donut.
It's not as good as it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I would find some like niche tutorials to follow of exactly what you want to do, and then it'll help you a lot to get a finished product that you're actually happy with, rather than some random thing that someone told you to make.
Mm-hmm. What was it like growing up in Fort McMurray?
I mean, it was nice. I don't know why, for some reason, I don't really remember a lot of, like, exactly what it was like. I lived in the neighborhood Abasand. It's, like, up a hill. It was nice. I mean, like, small suburban neighborhood. There's, like, 3 high schools. I liked all my schools. I had friends. Pretty normal. It's not a super small town. I think the population is like 60,000 or something.
Has Fort McMurray did Fort McMurray inspire any art for you?
Yeah, I think a lot. But mostly, I don't know. It was like the fire a lot that inspired my work in my last few years of university. I was like, damn, this actually did affect me a bit. So then I kind of used that to make artwork about, grief and nostalgia and remembering things and objects that I had that, couldn't get back. I feel like living in Fort McMurray kind of split my life in two. So it was like before and after, and kind of being, I wouldn't say jealous, but like seeing other people having access to things that they had as a child, and having pictures and objects of childhood, and not being able to have those kind of made me feel like I was a new person, and I ended up, and even now I end up forgetting a lot of things because I don't have access to things I had as a child. So a lot of my work is about that, and is about childhood objects and remembering those things in my work now. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that must have been so difficult to go through.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, it was difficult at the time. I'm slowly working through it.
For sure.
But, I mean, I paint about it now, which is cool. I have something to paint about.
Exactly. You learn and you grow from it. I think it's interesting because growing up in Edmonton and kind of living in Edmonton my whole life, we never went through anything like that. And so I remember in high school when people came from Fort McMurray and were like in our class, and it was like this thing, but at an arm's length, it was like, oh, this person went through this and now they're here. And so I feel like high school me wasn't as compassionate or as understanding as maybe I should have been, because I didn't really think about what that would have been like for other people,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Your art's amazing now, though, so thriving.
Thank you. Yeah, at the time, I feel like I was a little disconnected from what was happening, at least. I would get embarrassed when, I would go to the store, and then someone around me would say, like, oh, yeah, she's from the fire. Like, this is all new stuff that she's getting. I remember one time I went to to get a new wallet because I didn't have a wallet. And my grandma was telling the cashier that I was from Fort McMurray, and the cashier started crying, and I was like, can we leave?
You're like, I'm the one from Fort McMurray, but all right.
yeah. It's something you don't think you're ever going to have to go through is, buying. I remember the first thing that I bought after the fire was at a gas station. I bought a toothbrush. And so you never think that you're going to have to get all those things all over again. You don't know what you have until it's all gone. So having to buy everything that you had in your room all over again is something that is pretty hard. Like buying a whole new wardrobe, shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste, everything like that is pretty hard. But
I can see now your comment before of a before and an after, because as you were speaking about having all new things, it's like that detachment in a sense of that's where I was and this is where I am now, but all the learning and growth that would have come through that. And how old were you, if you don't mind me asking, when it happened?
I think I was 15 or 16. I can't remember exactly.
I was so emotionally immature at 15 and 16, so
yeah, I would get so mad when people would say, well, now you can buy a whole new wardrobe. It's like, do you really think I want to do that? I mean, maybe you would like to do that if you had your old wardrobe still, but being forced to do something like that is something that, I wouldn't wish on anyone.
Absolutely, especially financially, buying an entire new wardrobe and all your stuff again.
Luckily, insurance was really nice to us.
Oh, that's
good.
Okay. But still, yeah. So moving forward from that experience, now you're here, thriving. Where do you hope to see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I think, well, right now I'm trying to just work and, save up. Eventually, maybe at some point I'd like to try to get my MFA somewhere. I would move away for that. I don't know where exactly I want to go, but it doesn't really make sense to get your MFA in the same city that you did your BFA, at least to me. Trying to find somewhere in a community that I would like to be a part of in the future and get another degree there would be nice. I think that's something that I want to work towards. Just need to keep applying for things personally. But yeah.
And then what advice do you have for aspiring artists or even people just trying to paint?
Technically or?
Maybe both. Let's do two separate. Let's do something technically of things to keep in mind if they are, or just aspiring in general.
For oil painting, don't paint acrylic over oil. It'll mess up your painting. I think just experiment, try new things while you have, especially in school, try new things while you have the resources to do so would be something that I really encourage people to do while you have that support and people to talk about your work and, work on those things while you have, ability to bounce back and bounce your ideas off people is something that is really beneficial to you. For painting at least. If you're wanting to paint a still life or an object, what I do is I look at the object in relation to the background and what's around it. So if I'm painting a person and their arm is like this, instead of seeing the arm, I'll see this, and then I'll see this. And that's how you can kind of double check what you're drawing or painting, is first looking at that and then looking at what's around it and what the shapes are making kind of as an outline, I feel. And then also what I like to do before I'm painting is I paint really small, or not paint, I draw really small versions of what I'm going to paint. They're called thumbnails. So just doing a bunch of those and kind of seeing what you want your shapes to look like before you make a huge detailed thing that'll be super hard to fix, and getting all those small ideas out before. And that helps for, figures too, is just doing a small version of it to see if your proportions are right and stuff like that. And then once you have the hang of like accurate proportions, knowing how to exaggerate things and push and pull is something that is really fun when you know that you have the capacity to do so. So yeah, that can be really fun too. And then also, at least for me, when I'm doing stuff in color, I like to paint small versions of the colors that I'm going to use. So a lot of the time I would sit in front of a mirror and paint myself, but like in purple or like in red and green, and just to see how I can do shadows and highlights and heat in different colors and see what works well with what background. I would do that a lot, just so I wouldn't commit to something that I didn't end up liking. Yeah, and have fun.
Awesome, thank you. What would you say is the best piece of advice you've received throughout your life?
Oh my God, that is such a hard question.
Yeah. No pressure with it though.
I don't know. I have a friend who is always like motivating me, not giving me a specific sentence of advice like, you should do this, or, you know, just love yourself and focus on this. Like, I don't really have a motto that I follow for things like that, but I would say just, you know, keep working towards something, keep applying to things, and learn how to accept rejection is something that's really good that I feel like everyone should learn. Don't get demotivated by rejection, because it literally happens to everyone, and everyone has to go through that phase in their life where they're getting rejected from every opportunity, mostly. So if you learn to take that and kind of brush it off and keep working, I think that's probably the biggest factor in learning how to be successful, is learning to take that rejection and keep applying and keep being motivated to do things.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.